When we pronounce a blessing, we aren't conferring a state of holiness upon something. We are simply acknowledging the holiness that already exists. And my friends, there are way too many curses in this world that have been heaped upon things, upon people, and upon loving relationships. And if we have any obligations at all as people of God, it is to offset those curses with blessings. When someone has stepped in and proclaimed another person as a sinner, it is our job to proclaim their sainthood. It's the least we can do. But when we get into the business of pronouncing blessings, we will soon realize that we are not nearly as skilled at distinguishing between good and bad, between saints and sinners, as we may have thought that we were. We may even come to recognize the holiness within a living tree, whose leaves miraculously draw water from the earth and with a little sunshine thrown in, produces fruit that we can eat and shade that cools us in the summer days, and limbs from which we can hang swings and feel the joy of childhood. And we bless that tree. But once we begin to recognize the holiness within the living tree, then we cannot help but recognize the holiness in the dead branch on the ground. Did that branch die of disease or old age, or was it struck by lightning? Did it once cradle a nest, or did squirrels run up and down it? And we bless that dead limb. And likewise, once we get into the business of blessing the new life that is born into the world, we cannot help but bless the one who exits this life and passes into the next stage of existence. We cannot sit in the presence of death without proclaiming its sacred holiness. And after a while, we begin to lose the distinction between what's good and what's bad. And we soon realize that the person in front of us needs our blessing. They need someone to recognize their holiness. Whether it's the woman at the checkout counter who tells everyone to have a nice day and to whom no one acknowledges, or whether it's the postal worker or garbage collector to whom we don't give a second thought unless they skip our house, each of them needs our blessing. Whether they even realize it or not, their souls crave someone to acknowledge their sacred goodness. Finally, as our first reading from Barbara Brown Taylor's book reminds us, pronouncing a blessing puts you as close to God as you can get, because you learn to look with compassion on everything that is. You discover that the line that separates saints from sinners is so blurred as to be invisible. Saints and sinners are labels that we human beings have created, but God sees us all as beautiful creations. At some point, we begin to see the holiness in everything. The one who is hungry is holy and in need of a blessing in the form of a bite to eat. The one who is living hand to mouth is in need of a blessing, preferably in the form of money to pay bills. The one who is grieving is in need of a blessing, maybe in the form of someone who will sit with them, who will sit quietly and not try to fix them. And Jesus said, the one who curses you is in need of a blessing in the form of prayer on their behalf. And the one who unjustifiably takes from you is in need of a blessing in the form of a freely given gift. You see, in God's dominion, there are no good people or bad people, no saints or sinners. There are only people in need of a blessing and people who need to get busy blessing others. On this All Saints' Day, I invite you to claim your own sainthood. Remember to recognize the holiness within your own self. And I challenge you to also recognize the sainthood in everyone you encounter. Let All Saints' Day be a day we acknowledge that we are indeed all saints. What each of us needs more than anything else is for that fact to be acknowledged. We need to hear about our holiness, our sacredness, our goodness. We need to be blessed. And may God bless each of you, because you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and wonderful are God's works. Amen.